Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
interesting. I wasn't sure if you heard it or not. So that
Yeah.
is interesting that you do hear it. So, all right. Very cool.
Yeah. I think it's for the person
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
coming in,
Yeah.
because if they
Oh,
don't want to be recorded, then they need to
yeah.
say
Yeah. I
something
mean,
or
it
get
does
off.
say it on the top of your screen, but people don't always read. They're looking at the picture and they get tunnel vision. So, yeah, I suppose it's a good thing. I'm happy with it. Very
Yeah,
good.
there's a big blurb that comes across the screen. Yeah.
Even
It-
better.
You're being
Yeah. Yeah.
recorded. Let me go
Oh,
to the
good.
bathroom real quick.
Sure. Very good indeed. Very good. Well, then we'll do. It's amazing how little shifts are key. And today I was kind of hammering one point, using everything else to bolster and support that one key point, that earnest intent to do your best. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you already have that. It was never an issue for you. That's just been part of you always, and it was part of your confidence. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not part. It is what leads to your confidence. I know I'm going to be doing my best, and I'm earnestly going to give my best. And
Yep.
you always knew this was a part of you,
Yeah.
and you were aware of it, but not so much for Robin. Yeah, she doesn't understand that doing your best is enough. She thinks you need to know. Doesn't matter. Doing your best, you learn. Like you said, when you come and you do a new floor, whatever. I don't know what the hell, but I know I'm going to do my best, and I know I'll learn on the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll figure it out. So this is a point that is not there for Robin yet.
Yeah.
She doesn't trust her ability to learn.
Yeah.
But I
And that
didn't
was,
want to put it on
yeah.
an ability to learn, because she's constantly coming into focus of her ignorance, right? So if we put the emphasis on learning, she said, but I don't know, because the more you learn, the more you know how much you don't know. And it becomes more and more, especially
Yeah.
initially, right? So, but if you focus on doing your best, then you learn and you open, you don't have those blocks, you don't have that resistances, you don't have that fear, you have that humble authority and humble confidence. It's very, very cool. Very,
Yeah.
very
And that's the first thing he noticed. He said, she just has to become more confident. That's it. Uh,
exactly,
and it's,
exactly,
I mean,
exactly,
he gets it. He doesn't think she needs to
exactly,
know everything.
exactly. And so that earnest intent to do your best, it will give her confidence,
Sure.
right? Can I do my best? Of course I can do my best.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Can I have confidence in making the effort to do my best?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, it's not necessarily that I know I'm going to do my best, but I'm going to be making the effort to do my best.
Correct.
Maybe I do my best or not. I don't know, but I'm making the effort to do so.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge, huge, very simple, but huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'll pick it up and to check, you know, um, if how this made a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because hearing it and applying it, two different things. So I'm hoping that she will apply it, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure she will. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We are on module 3, slide 10 of freedom from anxiety.
Module 3, slide 10.
Slide 10. Not knowing what else to do, but. What else is there to do other than be anxious or worry? This is quite the serious problem, because we are just defaulting to behaviors that don't really work and could be self-harming just because we don't know what else to do. It's amazing when you think we just act out of sheer habit that does not include thinking or is very mindless. When we take on a different perspective, it seems uh, it seems absolutely so simple and ludicrous.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that is the way it is. Please understand the importance of this simple awareness that can bring significant shifts of being ourselves.
Yeah. Now look at this in application to Robin, because she was kind of worrying, and she does worry a bit about not doing her best. She worries about not getting it right. Yeah. She
Mm-hmm.
worries a bit about her ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a bit of this habit, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And she knows it's a habit. It's just, getting out of that space. Yeah.
Exactly.
But my
So,
takeaway was,
yeah.
for
Yeah.
me, recognizing that we do things out of sheer habit that is sometimes very harmful to us can be really eye-opening.
Yes.
The simple perspective to shift out of not knowing what else to do because of the lack of habit and lack of learning can make a profound shift of being and of itself.
Yeah. So the replacement, that's what I was focusing on today, is that replacement, right?
Mhm. Valid fears, slide 11.
Mm,
But we may say that our anxiety and worry are based on real fears. Yes, this can be true because life comes with real fears. Your
yeah.
fears may be valid, but you can ask yourself if anxiety and worry are the valid response or behavior to deal with these fears.
Yeah. Are the only
Yeah,
valid response and behavior.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
are the only.
Only emphasize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my takeaway is this for me, if if you are justifying your fears, also justify if anxiety and worry are the only valid solutions for your fears.
Yeah. And are they effective? You might say, yes, it's valid to worry, but is it effective? A lot of the worry pots say, yeah, but I have to worry. How can I not worry? Yeah, but is it effective? Uh, what else can you do that's more effective? Fine, it's valid to worry, but what else can you do that's more effective in dealing with a situation? Does
Mhm.
this actually help? No. See?
Mhm.
So things like being cautious and being prepared and being thorough and being open, those things, they really do help. Ah, okay.
Mhm. Yeah. Slide 12 are tasks. Write out in detail what actual real value
Ah,
and usefulness you
I just want to go back
get.
to that last slide. My sister, she's an executive assistant, and
Mhm.
her worrying actually made her a good executive assistant to a certain degree, right?
Right.
But it also limited her because when I pointed out to her that her worry and anxiety became self-fulfilling prophecies, she realized her limitations in what she did.
Yeah.
And that was a huge moment for her. I said, shifted rather to being cautious and being prepared. Yes, that then you'll make sure that you don't forget stuff. She was always worried about forgetting stuff. But if you worry about forgetting, this is what's in your mind. And
Yeah.
this causes you to forget it. Oh my God, that really smacked her in the face, big time. She realized that she was her own worst enemy.
Yeah.
And that was a big shift for her.
Nah.
Massive shift. Massive shift when she said, oh, being cautious and being prepared, this will make me better. Yes, absolutely. Make notes, set reminders, set timers, set alarms, whatever the hell you need to do. But this is a key. You aren't focused on forgetting, you focused on remembering.
Yeah.
Much more effective. See,
Yeah. I
just
live
change the
by
mindset.
timers. I live by timers because I don't want to be like, oh my God, I forgot. Or no, set a
Exactly.
fucking timer. I do
Simple.
it all day.
Exactly.
The night
You
before, I set all my
exactly.
timers for the next day.
Caution and preparation, right there, the two of them in action, right? I'm cautious, I don't want to forget, therefore I prepare and I take steps, and now I know I don't have to. Exactly.
Yeah, because
Exactly.
I get so involved and distracted and so forth. You're doing something that comes
Know
up
yourself.
and you
Exactly.
forget, but it just really, I mean,
It's not that you forget, you get immersed.
yeah, that's right.
Slightly
Correct.
different. So
Yeah.
you're aware that your attention is going to be shifted, and it's appropriate. You don't want to be going through a session always worried about the clock and the timer. It's like, oh, come on, this takes your attention away. You want that immersion. That's part of your service to the client, right?
No question.
Yeah.
No
Very
question.
cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So 12 are tasks.
Hmm.
Write out in detail what actual real value and usefulness you get from worry and anxiety.
I don't know. I just amused. It's kind of cheeky question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not in a way.
Yeah, it is not. For me, the value and usefulness I get from anxiety and worry could be a deeper understanding or awareness of a problem.
There you go. That's
No.
actual value. Yeah.
No, that is not true because anxiety and worry actually take me further from my understanding or my awareness because I am in a bubble. So I tricked you on that one. I tricked you on that one.
That's brilliant. That's why, but I'm also, yes, that can be true. Exactly. But, it's that first step. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Other one is I am
So
sure.
that's really important that the apparent belief, and then you go a little bit further to say, yes, I do get some value, but it's an apparent value, which, it soothes me because I think I'm getting a value, but it's not actually so. So
Yeah.
the value I get is in the belief that I get value, but it's a false thing, right? So it's a panacea. Yeah.
I am sure people can attach their sense of value and usefulness to it. But right now, my brain says that this is a silly question because it makes no sense to validate worry or anxiety.
There you go. Exactly. Exactly.
It's your
Exactly.
naughty. It's your naughty question.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
should
And
have
that's
said,
important though, for the worry pot to come to the awareness themselves that actual real value and usefulness not really there. That's key. We obviously see it from the outside, but the fact that they are worrying and anxious means they don't really see it. Yes. So they need to see it for themselves. Otherwise the shift won't be there. Yeah.
mhm. Why do you think you are anxious and worry? What may be deeper reasons? For me, I can't relate to this, but I may venture to say that it could come from loneliness, grief, lack of self love, confidence, appreciation, honesty, etc.
And
You know,
self-importance. Don't forget
there
self-importance.
you go.
This was for my sister. It was self-importance was her main motivation.
Mm, mm,
Yeah. Yeah. Looking bad, making a mistake. Oh my God, she stressed about that. Right. This
mm,
was like the end of the world for her. Right. And also a deeper desire to be important.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
I mean, she had a big, illusions of grandeur. Partly due to my mother. My mother, because she was a bright kid at school, and she always pushed. My mother was very obsessed with ambition and status and all shit like that. You gotta be high, so she made it actually become a negative for my sister by emphasizing it so much and putting so much pressure on her.
pressure.
And she went to university and she studied, majored in psychology and philosophy. She didn't become a psychologist and a philosopher, neither of the two, but those were majors. I don't know. She got a BA, in other words, right? Just that's it. She didn't study psychology. She just got a Bachelor of Arts, majoring in those two stuff. Anyway, because it's what I was interested in. She had a lot of emulation desire in her. But then she ended up essentially, okay, she had her own little business and this and that. And all those grandeur illusions kind of imploded when she realized the reality of life, as it were. And so she ended up being a secretary.
Mhm,
Yes, she moved into being a personal assistant or an executive assistant, but it's still a secretary.
mhm,
And
mm,
so, when I first met her, she was an office manager or a secretary.
mhm, mhm,
It put an issue on her. The self-importance is what I'm trying to say. When you really look at the deeperness, people seem to hide this, and it's a big issue. And part of this anxiety and worry comes about from self-importance.
mhm, mhm,
Deeper reasons. They worry that they won't be important. They worry that their importance is going to be diminished. They worry about forgetting things, making mistakes. All of this, it's all self-importance.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a horrible trap. You think you're doing it for your own good to strive, but
exactly.
it's not.
And that's our understanding when treating this, dealing with it, sharing with somebody, making them aware of exactly that. It is a trap. It is a trap. And this, if there is one big thing to communicate to a worry pot, it is how much it is a trap. It tricks you into being where you are at, right? All good traps are like that. They a trick, really. Yes. But this is you think you're getting out and then you fall back in again. So you loop back into it. It keeps you there, traps you. by giving you apparent benefits. Apparent.
Mm-hmm.
It's the trap. Apparent benefits, false benefits. Yeah. Yeah. Very powerful. Very powerful. I mean, I'm just thinking of Bernadette. If she were to realize what a trap it is, not a detriment. She's aware it's a detriment, but not aware that it's a trap.
Yeah.
The trap is the part that you are being tricked into false beliefs, false ideas, false, panaceas. There's another word for it, when you get a benefit that's not really real. Anyway, it'll come to me. This is really potent, right? That you're getting these little supposed benefits that fool you into thinking it's real. That's the trap, and that's very, 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 very potent. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if
Yeah,
you
it's like
imagine this from Bernadette's perspective, yeah,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, sure, sure,
how
sure.
that awareness would be transformative. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for her, for sure. How did you come to be anxious or worry? How much of it was taught or learned from your environment? Again, for me, I'm having trouble relating this to me, but on occasion, it could be related to self-confidence or self-doubt.
Yeah.
I can more easily relate this to my mom. In fact, that her
Yeah.
worry comes straight from her parents who were overbearing and controlling and worried about what everyone else thought and felt about them.
You were like me. You did the opposite of your parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
My sister, the worry part sister, well, my other sister also had some worry issues.
Mhm.
As much as, but my younger sister, because she spent a lot of time alone with my mother, and she really disliked my mother and saw all of this nonsense, but didn't do the opposite of it. She just
Yeah.
repeated it. It's fantastic to me. It's like, I mean, she she really was not happy being with my mother. And my mother's worries would be really bothersome to her. My mother would come and while she was showering, she would come and vent all her stuff and talk about her worries and crap. Because she was trapped in the
Yeah.
captive audience.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. She couldn't go there. I
But
got
she
it
didn't
now.
learn to not freaking worry. How the hell do you do this? This was always that she never thought she could make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
She just didn't think it was an option. Fascinating.
Wow.
I just never thought of it, she said.
Yeah.
It's
Crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
Bubble traps.
Yeah. So I just wrote, my mom lives her life the same similar way as her parents did, always worried about what others think.
Exactly.
You can't be
Exactly.
yourself. You can't be yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. So my sister got trapped by my mother's belief, or this pressure on her that you're special. Yeah, she didn't like the pressure, but she liked being special.
Mm.
Never let go of that part.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Big trap.
What is more valid and effective? What is a more valid and effective response to valid fears than anxiety and worry? For me, pausing and asking yourself why this anxiety and worry is what it's really trying to show me.
Yeah.
If I dig a bit deeper, I will find the true issue that needs to be worked on. So investigate and perspective shift to get out of that negative immersion.
Yeah. So this is interesting on anxiety and worry, because you don't really have it, right? You've never really had it. But it's interesting that, of course, there's a tiny little bit, we have a tiny bit of everything. But in that tiny bit, to explore it, to understand it, because not that you need to deal with it, but you need to understand it so that you can understand somebody else and therefore share what's appropriate and what's valuable to them in this connection. To assist. Well, they'll have the content here, but to assist in that awareness, assist in that sharing. So I'm so looking forward to you getting started with Bernadette.
Yeah. I hope. Yeah.
When did she say any time date?
We're going to visit it in the middle of June to see what a time was, and then she'll be over some of these shows.
Oh, that's right.
give it-
Oh, it was waiting for the shows. Yeah. All right. Very good. All right. Very cool.
Slide 13. What's different in you now. In you know, in you now. Takeaway.
Yeah.
That's a
What's
quote.
different in you now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, from the start of this till now, what's different in you?
Yeah.
For you, not much, because you never worried much. But you could take this from you're doing this from a facilitator point of view.
Yeah.
So what's different in you now from when you started the program? How do
Yeah.
you perceive and see anxiety and worry?
Yeah, for me, the difference in me always comes from the increased knowledge and learning I get about a simple subject matter, and in this case, one that plagues our society. I am
Right.
beginning to see the simplicity and the connection to why it happens and look forward to understanding more so that I can help myself if needed and others break this habit and find replacements.
Yes. So the trap.
It is workable. It is, but you have
Yes,
to, it has to be identified like anything else. It's
exactly.
about awareness, and then it's about understanding, and then it's about being discerning. What can I do about it?
Exactly. Now, in the case of anxiety and worry, right? That's the key for today. It's not just that you are ignorant. No, it's that you are misbelieving. Yeah. So most of the time, awareness, you got to know something, and oh, I didn't know, and then okay, you move on. The problem with anxiety and worry is they do know stuff, but what they think they know, they think it gives them a benefit, right? They think anxiety and worry gives them a benefit, but it doesn't. So there's a part of them that's aware of it, but there's another part that's in the part that actually does the worry and the anxiety. That's the part that believes the false promise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this part, the worry and anxiety is all about false belief, not ignorance. There's a big difference, right? Big difference, big difference. It's what you know that's problematic, not what you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you need to know their replacements, but what you know is the issue here. Most of the times it's our ignorance that's the issue. Yeah. Yeah, it's what you already know. So
Oh,
that's the trap of anxiety
yeah.
and worry. It's what
Yeah.
you already know, what you believe, what you trust. That's it. They put their trust in anxiety and worry because they don't know anything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it loops around, keeping them stuck in that trap, the hamster wheel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hmm. That's a good way of
That's
putting
very
it.
different, right?
Yes. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Not knowing
That's
and
what's
knowing it.
different.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. That's the shift. That's a big shift. For me too. That's a big awareness that this anxiety and worry is a trap. It's the belief. It's that feeling and believing loop that they really feel that their anxiety and worry is useful. So they believe it's useful. They feel it's useful, and it keeps them worrying and anxious, and round they go. Very,
Mhm.
very powerful. Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. Cool, cool, cool.
Module 4, understanding what's really going on. So slide number 2 was just about the content. So slide 3 is larger context of your life. We are currently consumed by what is happening in our lives, and we forget about what's ahead and what has happened in the past in the context of what's outside our immediate attention. For
Oh,
example, how will perpetual anxiety and worry affect us? Plus,
yeah.
we neglect how now much anxiety and worry have actually served us and what benefits we actually have acquired from all that stressful expenditure of energy. So, my takeaway was if we don't see things in all timelines, we tend to miss the lessons we could get
Yes.
from doing so. Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Now, someone like Bernadette, she has some part of her that is aware in the bigger picture, this is detrimental,
Mhm.
right? Some part of her is aware. That's the problem. She keeps getting pulled back into the emotion of the other parts that lose that connection, right? And then she's back into the anxiety and the worry. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's to bring that awareness of longer term, bigger context into perpetuality of every day. Does this help me in the long run, in the bigger picture? Is this making me happy? No, it's not. Well, isn't that what life is all about? Does this help me? No, is it effective? No, it isn't, etc. Right? So that's our questions are shifting, not to how not to worry, but what you can replace it with.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I said, she's in that funk of that's just where she goes. So, realizing that once you're aware that you're in there, you need to
Exactly.
take the steps to make that
Exactly.
replacement.
Because a worry pot will say, oh, I'm worrying. I've got to stop worrying, but I don't know how to worry. And they start worrying about not
That
worrying.
worry. Yeah.
And loop around, around. Hey, man, better ways of doing things. Yeah. But again, we have to understand the inherent awareness and how it works, right? It seems foolish to us, but it makes sense to them. And this is key. We can't ever think it's foolish. We have to have come from that point of understanding. I
Yeah.
understand. I understand how you have misbeliefs and how they're trapping you and how they're revolving you round and round. The key is replacements. Replacements. That's the key. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. What can you do that's healthy for you?
Exactly.
Instead of worrying.
Exactly. Real
know,
happiness.
Real happiness. I mean, someone else's problems aren't your problems. That's there's people that worry about everybody else. My mother. Oh my God. Oh my God, Greg. Oh my God, Cheryl. Oh my God. Oh my. Do you spend your time having some fun, Mom? Do you spend your time, thinking about what you could do to be happy instead of worrying? But she thinks this worry again is making her a good person.
It makes her important.
Yeah.
See the self-importance. That's it. All that care and concern and worry. Every time she's doing that, she might as well be on a megaphone saying, look how important I am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's it. See?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Amazing. That's why I said this anxiety and worry. You wouldn't necessarily say some people have massive self-importance. It's very sublimated, But look at your mom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Between your mom and your dad, you'd say, oh, your dad obviously has got lots of self-importance, a big ego and all this. Your mom has just as much.
Mm-hmm.
It comes out in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the battle. That was the battle between the two egos and
Exactly.
with different masks on. And that's what everybody was fooled by,
Exactly.
thinking my mother was the weak one, the victim.
No.
She's
You
just
just have
as
different tools. Exactly. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, one you go in, a frontal attack, and the other one you come in as a saboteur, right? Both are effective methods for, dealing with it. So, in that logic. But, people forget the saboteur, the one who sneaks in and causes stuff subtly from inside or corrupts the staff or whatever. This is it. So that covert and passive aggression, people forget this. They don't really understand that passive aggression is an aggression.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? It's still aggression. It may be passive, but it's still aggression.
The
You
wolf,
forget that.
it's clothing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. They intend to still dominance and importance and
Yeah.
superiority.
Yeah.
Slide
Slide 4. Yeah. Slide 4. Opportunity, cost, and missing out. Imagine what we could do with all that energy we used on anxiety and worry if we redirected it. We pay the price of missing opportunity. When anxiety and worry limit and block our awareness, we cannot see or experience very much in the way of opportunities. We spend a whole lot of time focusing on what we imagine we need to avoid instead of doing all the things we can partake in and engage in what is really positive and beneficial for us instead. So my takeaway is, for me, we spend a lot of energy and time on anxiety and worry, and that leaves no time and energy for having the awareness to see opportunities we could be experiencing that are beneficial for us.
Exactly. What's the difference between problem and opportunity?
What's the difference between problem and opportunity? A problem is an opportunity.
Exactly. Nothing. It's attitude.
Really, they're almost the same. That they can turn out to be both be gifts.
Exactly. So the difference is perspective and belief.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, really. Or challenge, when you see, problem as challenge, it becomes an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is a big point to make for the worry pots.
Mm.
To say, look, it's up to you how you want to do it. Replace problem with challenge, with opportunity. It's the same thing. It's up to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Slide 5.
Every problem is an opportunity to learn and grow, is it not?
Oh, sure is. It's a gift.
It's a
Every
gift.
problem is a gift if you allow
Exactly.
it to be that way.
Exactly. So it's perspective and belief that's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
That expectation, association, all of that together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Where you place your focus, in other words, right? Focus of attention, shift it to something appropriate, something valuable, something useful. It doesn't mean you're ignoring the problem. No, you are now fully immersing it. When you see a problem as an opportunity and a challenge, you're not ignoring any part of it. You are just making sure that you turn it into something valuable and useful and beneficial. You're not ignoring it.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of worry. They don't want to deal with stuff. They're lazy.
Yeah. Mm.
My sister is very lazy. At least she had some sense to acknowledge her laziness.
Mm.
It's too much effort, she would say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Slide 5, self-absorption immersion. Whenever you're in an immersion bubble of whatever, it just reinforces itself. We forget about this. So our local world reflects and reinforces itself, which tends to limit the view beyond the bubble.
Yes.
When we
Wow.
are
What's
in the
important sentence there?
anxiety, what's that?
I said, just repeat that last sentence for me, please. That was very potent.
We forget about this, so our local world reflects and reinforces itself, which tends to limit the view beyond the bubble.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
When we are
Understanding the worry pot, right?
When we are in the anxiety and worry bubble, we are in a world where everything is a possible threat, a potential problem, or an unending source of stress, threat, or bother.
Yeah.
The cycles of fear reinforce fear, regardless of its size.
Yeah.
We do whatever we can to keep that world alive in the bubble, using our self-absorption and immersion into anxiety and worry. So my takeaway is, for me, immersion bubbles have such a limited perspective of things when you are in them. So we do whatever we can to take that crazy fear and stress reinforced and alive, because we are caught up in the vicious cycle of it all. We need to get outside the bubble for things to change.
Yeah. Vicious cycle, trap. This is so important to understand. But the trap part says that there's a benefit, at least. It's that vicious cycle too. It's the trick of it, that you think you're getting value, think, believe, but not really.
Yeah.
That's why it's so vicious.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very subtle viciousness. Yeah.
Yeah. Slide 6. Worry is mostly an aggravated form of patience, or the inability to wait without stress.
Aggravated form of impatience. Yeah.
Yeah, of impatience. Yes. So my takeaway is, for me, when we learn patience, stress or worry really can't exist.
Exactly.
They can't be in that same space.
Exactly. You can't. Exactly. Because our patience also is a trust that things will work out.
Slide 7.
Our patience also implies we've done what we can,
And
and therefore there's trust. Yeah. So our patience is based on impeccability, which then leads to trust, and then the trust leads to the patience, the ability to wait without stress. Yeah.
Absolutely. Slide 7, whole person psychology. The more we stay inside this loop inside, these limited walls and restrictions of anxiety and worry, the more we disconnect from our whole person psychology. The limitations inside the immersion does not allow for openings or connections outside this bubble that actually extend our psychologies, keep us open, connected, growing, and learning because we are so preoccupied in the loop of anxiety and worry. You could spend your energy so much more wisely than using it to maintain that bubble by building your whole person psychology. Once we have this perspective, we can start to shift.
Yes.
So my takeaway is the immersion into anxiety and worry are so limiting that we don't even get to nourish and build our whole person psychology. Be open, grow, and learn because we are so caught up in the self-reinforcing loop of anxiety and worry. Once we realize we can be have a more efficient use of our energy to build our whole person psychology, then we can start to shift our lives.
Yeah. And this is again where that self-importance comes into it.
Mm-hmm.
They're so worried about who they are not. And they don't spend any time on who they are and who they could be.
Mm-hmm.
Self-importance keeps them in that loop over and
Yeah.
over again.
Look at Robin's, the worry about not knowing enough. She's not letting herself be herself because she's spending so much time on that.
And it's a fear that comes from her goodness, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's a misapplication of her
An
goodness.
appropriate application of her goodness.
I was so keen to shift it to, emphasis on doing your best. Yeah, you do your best. Trust that. That's it. It's all you need. Don't worry about what you don't know. It's not important. Do your best. Just do your best. It's self-fulfilling, right? Self-fulfilling that.
Yeah.
I'm glad Dan recognizes it. That really is very encouraging.
Yeah.
That really is very, and it says a lot for the program.
Yeah. No, he's very good.
Good deal.
Slide 8, misbeliefs and misassociations. So much is connected to the fact that anxiety and worry is based on misbeliefs and misassociations. We believe and think we should worry because that is what good people do.
Yeah.
So here starts the disassociation. That goodness is attached to anxiety and worry. But the truth is that we don't have to think this way. We can shift those beliefs into thinking things through to the end and find different beliefs and different associations, as well as finding alternate ways of being to replace the unwanted habits of being.
Yes. And here we see the difference between Robin and your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Robin's anxiety and worry comes from this misbelief about being good. Your mom's, yes, that part of it is in there, but she understands that if this idea that if you worry means you're good, but she uses it to prove that she's good for self-important reasons. Robin's not trying to do it to prove that she's good. She's just doing it because she thinks she should. She's on the first step of it. Your mom takes it to the next level to say, oh, look, I'm good, which means, look at me, I'm good. You see, Robin's not looking for the attention on it. And that extra step for your mom, which is what locks it into a cycle for her. She's getting that payoff because other people, oh, you are, or at least she thinks they say that. No, they don't say that you are being good. They just say you are a pot and that you're a pain in the backside. She's not getting that part of it.
Right. Yeah. Again, because they only see that they're being good, that this is what a mom should do, and they don't.
Limited awareness again.
Yeah, very much so.
Very fascinating. Very fascinating.
My takeaway is on that was, for me, we must first take the shoulds out of our life. Hold on. This forces us to connect or associate our beliefs in the wrong direction. Just like, for example, if you have worry and anxiety, you are a good person because you care. This disassociation can easily be shifted by thinking things through the end and creating different beliefs and associations to replace what does not work for us. Okay. Slide 9, perspective shifting for greater comprehension. Is there only one or a few ways of seeing things? Absolutely not. Maybe many believe things are black and white, but they are not, which leads us to live in a gray world.
Exactly.
What about all the other glorious colors that exist? We
Exactly.
make the effort to see all the colors out there, and we will shift our perspective. Plus,
Yeah.
it helps you break free from old habits of not looking at other options or perspectives.
Exactly. 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 You know, and so many people are so proud of having a black or white mindset, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. They think that means that they have an opinion and that they're strong and that really,
Exactly. They're
really,
clear about
they're
things. It's
so
absolutely
closed off. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Uh, uh,
it's
my,
funny. It's fun.
yeah, it is when you think about it. It's sad. Yeah. My takeaway is for me, the world is not gray, which comes from only seeing black or white. Instead, the world is full of glorious colors, which is the same analogy of how many other perspectives there are out there on any given subject. This is a great way to understand that there is so much more to see and discover.
Yeah. Yeah.
Slide 10, physical components. Our bodies cannot be overlooked or ignored from a standpoint of what anxiety and worry have on the physical body. Many psychological problems have a root cause in the physiological, and the converse is also true.
Yeah.
Physical affects physiological. It's like another reinforcing loop. The physical consequences of anxiety and worry is often overlooked, so it is imperative we understand the full ramifications of our behaviors. So my takeaway is for me, the mind and body is so interconnected. It keeps looping around and finding more connections. So don't ignore the physical issues associated with anxiety and worry because the consequences actually can be grave. Be open to understand all ramifications of your mind to body connection.
Um, do you think that this is a little bit of the physical side that Robin was talking about? That she's resolved or has an awareness of some things in you know, mentally and psychologically and emotionally maybe, but not necessarily physically. There's still a bit of a stuck into a physicality.
For herself or for clients? I'm not
No,
sure.
for herself, because she was saying that, you know, she had that release on the table and she
Mm-hmm.
had to deal with physical stuff, she said,
Mm-hmm.
and she had to deal with physical habits.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very interesting.
Hmm.
I didn't get a chance to really emphasize on it, but I will next
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
I don't.
that she's made many shifts, but still some of that habit was locked into her physicality.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was released on the table, and that was very potent for her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking that, I think she knows that there's still a lot of stuff stuck in there. We all have stuff still stuck. It's layers and layers and layers deep. It's
Exactly.
just like
Exactly.
an onion peeling that back.
Right.
And,
But to
and
be aware that it was habits stuck in the body,
yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's very useful for both
Yeah.
the cranial and the massage, because really that's what you want. If you have an understanding that that's what you're doing, is to release, you know, physical habits that have become stuck in the body. That's very powerful, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Powerful.
Definitely. Yeah. Slide 11. We have to consider when we worry, we are like actually contributing to the very thing we wish to avoid.
Exactly.
We have to be aware worry can be self-fulfilling. We especially have to understand worry is not being cautious or sensible, but the very opposite. It's
Exactly.
it's typically merely a palliative for not being impeccable.
Yes. That was the word I was looking for. Palliative.
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 Before. Yeah.
That's what anxiety and worries are. Freaking palliative. Yes. Makes you believe you are getting this value, and it's not really.
This is the power of impeccability. If we've done everything we possibly can, including staying alert and aware, what else can we do but enjoy? We have to realize that worry only serves to narrow our focus and awareness, preventing us from seeing, connecting to those very gifts of resolution which inevitably come our way. Just what exactly does worry actually achieve? Like,
Exactly.
seriously, just what exactly? I really want to know. Yeah. What does it
I
help?
do. I
I can
really
hear
do.
you. I mean, obviously on the spot, but your
And
voice.
I really do want to know what
Yeah.
they think, because when they start to really, that's again, that's my application of earnestness.
Yeah.
I'm leveraging this.
Please help me
To
understand.
answer
Yeah.
this question for real, answer it for yourself. You are going to discover that, what you think it does and what it actually does, two vastly bloody different things. So
Yeah. Yeah.
eyes up, eyes up, eyes up.
What does it help? Why do it? What's the point? How does it make sense? How is it justified? Really? Is there any good reason to worry? Aspirant Nora. So my takeaway is, for me, understanding the real truth that worry is actually drawing attention to the very thing you are trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Awareness that worrying can be self fulfilling is just as important as knowing worrying is not about being cautious or sensible, but instead it creates the very opposite.
That's
When
the key.
yeah.
So go.
When we worry, we are not in awareness because it narrows our focus and our ability to see the bigger picture. We
Exactly.
we are also there for not being impeccable and giving ourselves the opportunity to enjoy life because we're not finding resolution on things. So explain to me exactly what worry achieves for us in any possible way. Is there
Exactly.
really any good reason to worry? And
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So as you said, something was really potent here. That the worry and anxiety, it actually causes more stuff that you don't want, right? It feeds on itself. Why? Because you're limiting your attention and your focus. The more limited your attention, the more ignorant you are of the stuff around you in the forest.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, the more forgetful you're going to be, the more careless you're going to be. It's self-reinforcing. Boy, when that's the thing, like I said, this shifted my sister. She said, oh crap, I'm trying to avoid this, because she really was trying to do a good job. But then when she became aware that the worry was making her less effective, not more, that
Yeah.
was a big shift for her, a big aha moment. The horror of it. Oh, fuck, yeah, I'm limiting my awareness. And that's how come I'm forgetting, because I'm worrying about forgetting. That was huge for her. This was huge for her.
Yeah, I think when Bernadette realizes how much she's not stupid, but that how much it's taking away from the joy in her life. She's bringing more on, like the stuff with her mother and even with her
Uh,
artwork, and leaving her. She worries.
it
Stop.
makes you stupid.
It makes you stupid. Really?
Anxiety and worry makes you stupid, as does arrogance, as does self-importance. They make you freaking stupid, right?
Yeah.
Saying all the impatience, all these negative things, they make you stupid. That's it. But that's the part with anxiety and worry. Okay, we'll leave out all the others. Just say, look, it actually makes you stupid. Why? Because it narrows your attention and your focus and your ability to do. It limits you. It limits you. Narrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think when that light bulb goes on, I mean, she may be able to say it, but she doesn't know it. Do you know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
She's lonely. She's a lot of things,
Yeah.
but all this extra worry and anxiety, take that energy and use it on what brings you more joy or makes you
Exactly.
less lonely,
Exactly.
instead
Exactly.
of, like she just, her mother does not do a whole lot for herself, and she's very dependent on the kids. I mean, there's four
Oh,
children, but only
disconnected to my mother.
yeah, and the mother lives with the one sister, And then Bernadette tries to fill in the blanks, but her sister and her husband are both retired. Part of the house the mother lives in, and it becomes problematic because the mother, she's deaf. She's completely deaf because of the war. She's from England, and her dogs are all becoming incontinent, and it's a problem. And then she can't bend over real easily to pick up the poop or the pee without her possibly falling. you know, but so they worry about her, and rightfully so. I said, so, okay, what is this worrying getting you? I said to her, what are your choices? To put her, I said, or talking to your mother, that she has to do physical therapy or something to get herself stronger. Otherwise, she's going to go into a home. And this is what you guys have been avoiding. That's why you remodeled the whole house. But I said, your mom has to do her part, but she's been so conditioned and so spoiled, starting with the husband, that now she expects the children to take care of her and just about breathe for her on some days. I said, so the mother knows how worried she is, that they worry about her. And when Bernadette is on duty, when the sister isn't home, Bernadette will call her mom, and she'll call her and call her and call her, and she doesn't answer. So what do you think? We were trying to go out. I took her to her acupuncture appointment, and they were going to have lunch together. And it ended because the mother, she couldn't even enjoy her lunch. The mother wasn't answering the phone. And then the mother, finally, when she chose to answer, she says, enough of this. Enough calling me. She said, I was in the shower. Well, you know what? When your daughter isn't home to check on you and someone outside your home is responsible, let her know that tell me when you're going into the shower. I won't call you. I won't bug you. At least I know where you're at. The worst is, oh my God. We got minutes. I said, we're going to drive right to your mom's house. That's it. God forbid, if something happened. I mean, she was furious at her mother. I said, Bernadette, you're doing a huge injustice if you don't tell. I don't care how sweet and proper and English proper your mother is, and how religious she is, that you don't speak to your mother improperly. I said, she has to know, be diplomatic, and she has to know that this is a problem, and she's got to do her part here. And a simple thing is telling you that she's going into the shower or something, so you don't worry. You worry enough. Now she's going to add.
Consideration, in other words.
No consideration. Exactly. That was the word I said to her.
Set up your system. Set up your system.
That's right. That's right. So I said, Bern, you know, go ahead, keep telling me these stories. Go right ahead. It's like a broken record. I said, until your mother either chooses to do something different, or more drastically, she's removed from that house and someone else takes care of her, and she'll go into a county home because she has no money. So it won't be pretty. It will not be pretty. Or when they take the dogs away.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the dogs are healthy other than being incontinent.
Right.
But
so the point is, mom, pull finger, or you're gonna have consequences.
Right.
That's right. Don't be leveraging my niceness to clean up after you when you can do this. I mean, sorry, if you can't pick up after the dogs have to go. Yeah. It's very simple. I mean, this is it. It's very simple. I mean, I'm assuming the place can't be very smell very nice.
Her mother has all those plug-in things. When I go there, oh my God, no. I mean, she's a very clean person, but she physically can't. I mean, she cleans up.
Right. I'm saying it's not that this is a negative on her. It's just it's going to be a consequence that's unavoidable. So I'm sorry, but at some point you've got to be real. Either have properly trained dogs, who can go and poop in some place that can easily be picked up.
She's afraid that if they take the dogs and put them down because they're incontinent and she can't take care of them, that something will happen to the mother. I said, oh, for the love of God. At what expense? What is she gonna slip and fall over pee or poop that's in the house. That
Exactly,
would be
exactly.
worth
So
it.
something's going to happen to the mother, or heaven forbid, she catches some disease from all that poop lying around. And so both, the slip and the fall too. So something's going to happen because of the dogs being there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 So tricky stuff, but
Yeah. How did the dogs get to not to be trained?
No. They were trained. They both had hemilaminectomies. They both broke their back. They're dachshunds. They're dachshunds.
Okay.
And
I
what
get it.
happened on the one, it lost
Ah,
complete control of its
Oh. Well, then
and it
maybe she needs to
dragged
get
feet.
freaking doggy diapers.
I don't know. Did she put them on? I think she was using them at one point. I don't
It's
know.
just
Actually,
probably expensive.
yeah. And she's on an extremely fixed budget.
Yeah, and then she won't be able to afford it because that's
They're not
that's
cheap.
that's going to be a major expense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
Old people, it's a problem, really.
yeah. Slide 12, tasks. Zoom out from your immediate situations and share what all could be in the future from a positive perspective. For me, I can continue to improve my health. I can have some fun. I can enjoy Bill and Hercules more. I can
Yeah,
laugh more. I can love
yeah,
more. I can
yeah,
reach out to friends and
yeah,
family and catch up.
yeah,
And I can relax and enjoy just being.
yes, 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 yes.
Is the belief that being anxious and worrying is the way to solve your problems a valid belief or a misbelief? For me, I don't think of it as a conscious way to solve problems, but instead it appears to be a default habit from conditioning. But once in the awareness and understanding of this, you can change and shift into a new perspective and find real resolution to the underlying problem.
Mm, mm.
When you pay attention to how much anxiety and worry have really served you, how much have they actually been valuable or useful?
Yeah.
For me, looking back, anxiety and worry are just energy vampires. So being
Mhm.
aware of that, I can shift and manage more energy more efficiently and more
Exactly,
effectively if I
exactly,
choose. Yeah. It's a choice.
exactly. Oh yeah. And when you see it from an energy point of view, it becomes huge. That's a fantastic way of looking at anxiety and warriors, energy vampires. Fantastic. I love that. Yes, yes.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. That's very cool. Yeah.
yeah.
That's it.
Tasks.
Anxiety and worry are nothing but energy vampires.
They are nothing. Yeah. Slide 12. How much time and energy do you spend on anxiety and worry? For me, actually, as little as possible. I always find that worry or anxiety just slows me down and gets me out of my rhythm. So I must pay more attention uh, to avoid it.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't get into a little oops once in a while that has you concerned? Is it really worry or is it concern? I don't know, but as long as you stay on top of yourself, then you can shift it, and then you won't be in an immersion of it. Yeah.
I just want to add that quote here real quickly. Anxiety and worry are nothing but energy vampires.
Mhm.
There we go.
If you had time and energy to use, what all could you use it for instead? For me, I could surely find a better use of my energy, talking or being with friends and family, going for a walk and enjoying the scenery and the weather, relaxing, playing with Hercules, spending more quality time with Bill. there's, the list could be a bazillion miles long.
It's endless. And that's what I find so fascinating. That seems like such a ridiculously obvious question. But boy, when you kind of answer it, it's like, holy crap, yeah, there are better things I can do. You know, it's that question is making the obvious obvious, but this is a profound obvious that's not obvious, right?
Mhm.
Until that question is actually answered.
And
And
yeah,
that's big. That's big to understand that it's not something the worry pot thinks about. It's
mhm.
obvious to us from the outside that there's better things you can do, but it's not obvious to them.
Yeah,
Not at
and
all.
yeah, no, yeah, until it's asked, you can't answer it. So, but I think too that whole conditioning that comes from, don't look at yourself, look at others and
Exactly.
help others.
Exactly, Sue.
So
Exactly.
the more that's ingrained in you that that's what you're supposed to do, the further it takes you away from thinking about, what can I
Yes.
do for me? How can I relax? How can I stop
Yes.
worrying? Instead of
Yes.
thinking, again, there's that worry has
Yeah.
goodness attached to it, or I don't know, attention, something, is such a freaking
Yeah.
a false belief. Yeah. Yeah.
And boy, just think of the BMN who started this. Right? All the crap in our lives come from freaking BMNs doing stuff to manipulate others. How can
Mhm.
I get my family to take care of me? And because
Mhm.
of course for BMNs, what applies to others doesn't apply to them. They don't play by their own rules, right?
Mhm. Right. Yeah.
You
No.
get them to believe that it's all about doing stuff for somebody else. Well, that somebody else happens to be me.
Mhm.
I don't do anything for anybody else, but that's their system.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how it works, manipulating goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And then they fall in the trap.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Some BMN started this idea that it's you have to do things for other people all the time, not about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a good usage of your time and energy to be paying attention to all you imagine you need to avoid? For
Yeah.
me, I said, how ridiculous is that? I want to spend my time appropriately engaging in the things I want instead of avoiding them. I,
Wow.
I just, I mean, I see why you wrote that on there, to really make people think.
It's nice though. Yeah.
Yeah.
This program, for you personally, it's not about dealing with worry and anxiety. It's about being aware of how you do not do it and what you do instead. So this has been quite magical in that sense. Just yes, of course, it's about understanding it in terms of being a facilitator and other people, but still the confirmation of self, of your moreness and your positive qualities. This is very, very, very valuable. I'm noticing. Yes,
Yeah.
very cool. Very
Absolutely.
cool. It's like an
Because,
inverse benefit, right?
yeah. Yeah.
It's
Like
very
I
cool.
said before, I thought, do I worry? Do I have anxiety? And then I kept thinking, because no, it's a concern. I might think about something maybe for a couple days, and do I need to do it and worry about it? It's got to get done. But I'm one who takes action. I don't
Exactly.
sit there and wallow in it. I
Exactly.
I'm worrying about, not even worrying, I'm figuring it out, which is
Exactly.
over focusing on something to get the
Exactly.
job
And
done.
that is
That's different.
appropriate usage of energy, not a waste of it, right?
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the key difference. Thinking about things that need thinking about, right? There are valid problems in the world, and we do need to think about them. But when we think about them the way you do, you're doing something, you're devising a plan, you're figuring it out, you're being strategic, you're being prepared, right? As opposed to going nowhere. That's
Right.
the big difference. You're going somewhere with that thinking. Anxiety and worry is thinking that goes nowhere,
Yeah.
except into negativity and stress, right?
Mhm.
What's the point of it? It's going nowhere. But yours, it goes to a resolution, a plan, right? A doing. So
Right.
it's valuable. So that's why it's not worry and stress, but preparation and planning and caution. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes up as a concern. I think that's more of my thing, a concern or something that I need to um do better on, or I don't know,
You focus on improvement. Exactly.
improvement. There's what
Change.
it is. Improvement.
Exactly. That's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
valuable because it results in a doing.
Yeah,
That's the key.
definitely. Definitely. um, how often do all those possibilities occur? For me, if you're referring to the things you need to avoid for fear of them happening, probably next to none for me, because it is just truly a waste of time.
Exactly. 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 I mean, there's the world is full of stuff that could be terrible. It's also stuff full of stuff that could be wonderful. Why focus on that bloody hell?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because some BMN, had you do this so that they could control you,
Mm-hmm.
to worry about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please. In the context of whole person psychology, what is absent from you when you are focused on anxiety and worry, and what more is there to you that you're not connecting to?
Exactly. What more is there to you that you are not connecting to? And that's what I love about you, that you do connect to your more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So cool.
For me, when I am anxious or worried, I don't get to be me and enjoy myself. I waste time unnecessarily, especially at night when I'm trying to sleep and my head keeps spinning with thoughts.
Oh,
There is more of everything in the universe. So when I don't connect to anxiety and worry, because it limits my moreness and the ability to see everything that is possible.
yeah.
Yeah, it just, I mean, I didn't go into detail because it just, there's so much more out there
Exactly.
that I'm just would be missing
Exactly.
out on. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you are going to have FOMO, freaking all use it positively, right?
FOMO.
Fear of missing out.
Oh, fair missing it. Yeah. Hmm. Task.
Use
Yeah,
it, right?
absolutely. Slide 14. Share some examples of when should is not legitimate, when it's a manipulation or distortion of your goodness. For me, shoulds that manipulate or distort my goodness are: I should help everyone. I should always be the one to reach out to those who I have broken ties with. I should learn more about religion to be a better person. Where the hell did that one come from? I
That's an interesting should. Wow. That's a really interesting should.
Yeah.
Actually, though, you could shift that, not as a should, but to say learning more about religion will help you be a better facilitator.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just speaking the language of others.
Others.
Yes,
Yeah.
there'll be some insight for you, but it's that insight into the general psychology of
Of
religion,
religion.
which typically is a BMN psychology again, psychology of control and manipulation, getting things, the rules apply to you, but they don't apply to me.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And no
yeah,
other
yeah.
should is last one. I should I should stop. I should do more work in the community.
Oh, interesting. You do plenty. Just you being in the community is enough.
Yeah.
Sorry, as far as I'm
Wait.
concerned, that's
Yeah.
it. That's it. Simply you being there is enough. That's it.
Mhm.
End of story. So you do plenty. Or when we understand the power of being, you realize all the work you put into being you now is valuable for the community
Mhm.
because your being makes a difference, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you do plenty work for the community, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just,
We'll
it's
get back
that
to this with when we
should.
get
It's the should. I mean, there's the Donna Taggart
exactly.
that should be out in the forefront and being seen in the community. You're right. I do enough for the community by doing what I do, and helping them, and so forth. I don't have to, get on a grandstand and say, "Oh, look what I did. We helped clean up the park and get your picture in the paper." And
Yeah,
yeah, here I got you.
very cool, very cool, very cool.
How does should work when it subverts our goodness? For me, should undermines my goodness by feeling obligated to do something that I really don't want to do or is not the real me, but society, family, or friends influence that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It subverts your goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it manipulates your goodness.
Yeah.
Should.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
What are some alternatives to worrying? For me, alternatives to worry are ask myself, what's really going on? What's the truth?
Yeah.
Choose some new perspective or ideas. Choose awareness. Ask
Exactly.
yourself, what am I doing? Write
Yeah.
out, journal your frustration or worry. Understand what triggers you. Is it being around other anxious people, lying awake in bed? Go for a walk or exercise, play with your dog, read a book, put headphones on and dance. That's usually my
There
go.
you go. Yeah.
Go
How about just
relax and
yeah,
have a spa treatment.
exactly. Yeah. And just hear the world. Just
Mhm.
feel the world. When sometimes we just have to shift a little bit. That's the magic of nature. That's what you're doing when you go out in nature and you have a really cool experience. You're hearing the world, you're feeling the world.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you
Mhm.
can do that from anywhere, really. It's a really
Yeah.
magical thing. Because when you hear the world, when you really, really hear the world, aren't you hearing magic? The
Yeah.
world is a magical place. The fact that we hear, that we exist, that existence exists, that's magical to me.
Mhm. Mm.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, a magical situation we're in. Yeah, we're
Pick
living in.
anything. Pick anything to regularly worry about and which causes you anxiety and share some alternative perspectives on the issue or situation. How could it be completely different? For
Ah.
me, I worry about not having a plan for myself or my work or being too idle for too long. Really? Alternative perspective.
I hope I hope I can get some mocking into my laughter. It's hard to do, but I hope I can get some appropriate level of mockingness in there. Yes, like seriously, Sue, come on.
I was reaching. I was reaching for
I
some.
know
Yeah.
it's brilliant. That's why I'm enjoying it. That's why I'm enjoying it. This is fantastic.
So alternative
But it's
perspective.
good though. It's good. In the exaggeration, you see the
Yeah.
absurdity of the tiny. And sometimes, we may not have it in excess like a worry pot, but we have a little bit of it. And so, come on, let it go,
Yeah.
let it go, let it go.
So the alternatives perspectives would be perhaps I need um, ideal time, ideal time to really relax. I need to give
Oh,
myself
yeah.
time to think things through to the end, and it may change the outcome or my desire if I think more about it. Talk to a friend or counselor. Ask what is my motivation for the worry? Is it ego? Is it appreciation? Is it caring? So it can be recognized and made aware of to change it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm hoping you're making these are all your responses are going to be fantastically visible from a facilitation point of view. As you go through it with Bernadette, and you share these responses, and the moreness that, okay, this is what I thought, and now here was my more. Those are going to be fantastic exemplifications of possibility.
Yeah.
Very useful, very
Yeah.
useful, very useful.
Yeah.
So, you exploring this as a sort of a what if in yourself doesn't matter to the worry pot. They don't care whether it's what if or not. They starting to say, oh, wow, there is a different way I
Yeah.
can think about this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how is worrying helping me? That was another different perspective. And
Exactly.
what
Ah,
can actually help me? So instead of, is this helping me?
yeah.
Is one thing. Yeah, yes, no, it is, whatever. But what can actually help me? So that's the action that needs to take. Yeah.
And in your case, you are always thinking, you are always planning, you are always doing, right? You're always being strategic. A part of strategy and planning is to create a space where you do not actively strategize and plan. But part of your strategy is knowing that when I'm just being at peace and I'm making space for things to come, That is really potent. And when I do this as a part of my strategy, it's incredibly powerful, right? When I'm planning and strategizing, I'm based on all of that is based on what I currently know. So part of my strategy needs to say, ooh, how do I make space for what I don't know to come into my strategy? I need to be thus a space where I can hear and be open to that moreness, to really make space to suck in the moreness, to suck in what I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. So it's an important part of strategy is to do and figure out and plan. But as important as that is, also you need to have that vacuum space to say, what might I have missed? What more is there? What else can I do? What inspiration, what creativity, and let that come. So essentially, this is kind of, to me at least, what meditation really is about. You are making space for hearing your moreness, hearing beyond, hearing inspiration, hearing creativity. Yeah. So it's a part of your strategy and your planning. If you think of it in that way, yeah, you're just being to let it come as part of your strategy and planning. It's a very potent way to get into it and to leverage yourself to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Very cool.
Oh my
Very
gosh.
cool. Very cool part to think of, not doing anything at all as being strategic and planning, as being part of it's a technique, a tool, a very, very powerful and necessary tool. Yeah. Very, very powerful and necessary tool as part of strategy and planning. Yeah. Which is the inverse or the positive flip side of anxiety and worry. Shift that anxiety and worry to being strategic and planning. Yeah. So part of it is that absorption and trust. Let's see what more, what creativity, what inspiration can I come? Yeah, very cool stuff. Very cool, very useful, very powerful also. Making space for more.
Slide 15. Pay attention to people who do not worry or have anxiety and share some of the ways of looking at matters.
Their ways
of looking at matters.
Yeah.
For me, I don't worry all that much, but I can surely look at Syl and clearly see his unrelenting positivity, appropriateness, and impeccability all the time keeps him from letting worry take over. It's true.
Exactly. And in my life, I've gone through many ups and downs, and this is what got me through them. It's really amazing, very helpful. Unrelenting positivity, that insistence, because like you said, I could have a lot of stuff to worry about, but I never made space for it. Because I filled it with something else.
Yeah, the problem is inviting it in. You don't invite it in. Just recognize it and hold it bay at the door. You open that door up, it's like opening them up into your home, and before you know it, they're all in every room. They're bothering you at every level.
Exactly. So instead of me drowning in my worries, I filled the space with air.
Yeah.
And pushed all the water out. And that air is the unrelenting positivity. The air is strategizing, planning, and being cautious, and doing that replaces, right? So you displace anxiety and worry with positivity. Yes, with planning, with strategy. Yeah. So you got to displace it. And one pushes the other out. But you're right. If I stop doing that, all that stuff will come in.
Yep.
And that started with an acute awareness of others. I got to know people so well that I started to become a little bit too much connected to the nonsense in them. That's all I saw after a while, because that was predominantly what they was basically all this anxiety and worry and just nonsense in them. And that started to affect me. And then I had to I changed my whole life to shifting to that insistence on moreness, so that I wouldn't absorb this. I start to feel it, and it was feeding back on the people, and I was creating it. So it was a loop, through cueing. It was an incredible thing. It was really a massive, big deal. Yeah. I saw the downsides of awareness. If you're only aware of people's negative nonsense, then you start cueing it and you create it in them. It's like this horrible feedback loop.
Yeah.
And it made me a bit negative too, so it was no good.
How come they are able to survive without worrying or being anxious? What do they do differently? For me, others that don't worry are in more full awareness all the time. Their positivity and having multiple perspective on things keeps them from seeing the big picture instead of limiting themselves by being in an immersion bubble of any kind,
And
really.
a lot of them just don't care about the stuff that others worry about. They say,
Mm.
so what? And they're right, because the stuff that you worry about, does it actually really impact your life? No, look at the people who don't worry. You know, they're a bit more carefree. They just don't worry about it. They say, I'm going to live. If the stuff happens, it happens. I'll deal with it. But for the most part, the stuff that people worry about doesn't happen. Or the things that do happen, they so exaggerated it becomes their world.
Yeah.
Yes, the dogs are crapping on the floor. Is that the whole of the life? Does, can your mother live and be happy with the crap on the floor? All right, yes, she can. Yes, it's a nuisance. Yes, it's a hassle. Yes, it smells. Okay, you can deal with it. It's not necessarily the end of the world. Is it a problem? Yes. Is it the end of the world problem? No.
Yeah. Correct.
That's the key. Don't overemphasize these things and make a little thing into your whole world. There's lots of positivity in her life. I mean, the mom seems to be, you know, she has a little bit of no carefreeness to her, it seems, yeah?
Hmm. Yeah, because she's just crazy dependent on others. Ugh.
And
Yeah, she never had to do anything for herself. She was the
yeah.
war bride who came to America with all the possibilities and just lived that life of being taken care of.
How old is the mom?
She's, I think, late 80s,
Oh, wow.
mid to late 80s. She's sharp as a tack.
Well, you're never too old to freaking learn, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, with the bending over, if she can sit on a stool, right?
She wouldn't get up. Mm-mm,
She won't be able to get up from a stool.
no,
Oh, oh,
no, it's too far down. Mm-mm, yeah.
ah, okay. Because I was just thinking, if you get the right height where she can sit down, you can pick up the stuff sitting down.
Hmm.
It's just to
Somehow
bring.
she manages, but sometimes she falls or she can't get up, and
Yeah. Well, you get those long handled, like a
yeah, she has those.
fan.
She
You
has.
brush it
Oh
in
yeah, yeah,
from
yeah,
standing up. So there are ways to pick it up from standing up. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah. I always had a wonderful adventure. And I wonder if it's, or you can find something similar. I just thought to have like dry ice, but something cold, really cold. And I forget what it is. They do it with carbon dioxide, same as dry ice, but as a spray. And you spray it on the turd. It's all soft still, but then it freezes it instantly, and then you can pick it up easily,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unless that
Yeah.
destroys the wooden floor or a carpet or something,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
it shouldn't.
Or,
It just make it a cold spot. It'll thaw, fairly quickly,
mm,
But yeah, I
yeah.
actually thought for people out on the street, if you have that turd frozen and then you can step on it and it disintegrates into little particles, then it's not an issue.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to carry that around. I just carry my little baggies and scoop it up.
I mean, it's just a can and you can spray it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
in a case like this for somebody, where then it's not something that's there as a problem until they can deal with it. At least it you know it makes it much easier to sweep, for instance, yeah,
Mhm.
than
Yeah,
to actually pick up. Yeah,
could be. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't want to handle the turd, so they'd rather have it be something frozen, solid,
Yeah.
or that they can convert it to dust, which would
Yeah.
be quite handy.
She's not. She's not weird like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. All right.
What are the
Well, she's
physical?
managing. She's managing.
Yeah. What are the physical effects of anxiety and worry on you, if any, and what are they likely to be in the longer term? Are the physical consequences worth it?
It's a
For
powerful question.
me, I have only experienced physical effects like lack of energy, headaches, grouchiness, isolation, overeating, undereating. Um, Others may experience procrastination, paralysis, physical anger, etc. Not surely none of these few things named are worth it at all.
And then again, typical stress in the body, which leads to headaches, pains, also stuff like that. What you mentioned, your list is very cool. Like if you do have a bit of a loss of energy or whatever, to say, is there something that I'm potentially worrying about? Not because I'm a warrior, but because I'm not aware that it's something I need to deal
Correct.
with. And
Correct.
that's useful. That's that quiet time again to let things come to you becomes useful. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Slide 16.
So
When
that,
we
at this point of all the physical consequences worth it,
Mhm.
many of them don't pay attention to that.
That.
I mean, like my sister, the hypertension and God knows what all stuff she had to get medication for. And that was a physical consequence. That's one of the things that got her to actually work on it. Because yes, the medication sort of helped, but it was always making her freaking tired.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've never got any energy. Well, what are you taking? Well, what do you think those medications are? They're suppressants.
Yeah. Yeah. Bernadette suffers from migraines. She can't sleep. She doesn't, you try to talk to her about those migraines. She likes her migraines. It's very odd. Like, oh, I've tried everything. I'm like, go to acupuncture, do this, quit complaining.
Yeah.
Quit complaining.
Like I said, they like it in some way.
They
It makes them
like it in some
special.
way.
It
Yeah.
makes them special.
Or it allows her to check out.
Exactly. And to get sympathy and empathy and commiseration and all sorts of valuable benefits. Remember that slide with all the payoffs? Yeah.
Mhm.
Lots of them for it. Yeah. But are the physical consequences worth it? Sure, you may like the benefits of your migraines now, your headaches now, but think longer term on this,
Yeah.
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 Do you want to end up being your mother?
Yeah. How about it?
Do you want to end up being your mother?
Hell no.
I
I
mean,
don't.
Bernadette.
No. I would say no to that.
I'm saying that's a powerful question at some point,
Yeah.
to ask. Be careful. Are you not heading in a similar direction?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
You want to have something to worry about, worry about being your mother.
Yeah.
Or becoming your mother. Yeah.
Slide.
Following that pattern.
Yeah. Slide 16 is a quote. When we know our intent is impeccable, what's to worry? So for me, my takeaway is if I am doing my best, then what is there to worry about? There isn't. You can't, you've done your best.
Exactly.
Done. End of
Exactly.
story.
The earnest intent to do your best. It is, man, that just changes everything. I didn't know I did this and I forgot about that. I attributed the quote to way of impeccability. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It really struck me. I thought that was very cool. All right, cool. Wow, I got to remember to do that some more.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
Slide 17, celebrate what's different in you now. My takeaway for that was we always need to be aware of our changes that improve our overall self. The difference in me now is a much keener awareness of how worry and anxiety is so self reinforcing. And I need to pay attention when I am in those states so I can use my tools to get out of my own way, as well as obviously helping others.
Exactly. And I mean, you celebrating what's different in you now is a deeper understanding of this so that you can be of assistance. Exactly. That's the thing with anxiety and worry. Like I said, they're self-reinforcing. But also the trick in dealing with it from the outside is to have our awareness understand unawareness.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the key here. That's the absolute key
Yeah.
here, is we are looking at it's so duh for us, but we need to understand it's not duh for the person who's in it.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Being aware that you're unaware, because that's where you get in trouble.
Right. And
Shit, I wasn't paying attention. Every
But I
time
mean-
you look back at a mistake, it's from
Exactly.
unawareness.
Exactly. And also to be aware that the person we're dealing with is in that unawareness bubble, right?
Yeah.
So that you don't become judgmental, in other words, and you don't share, but it's to me, it's not to them, right? So they need the logic of it. They need the deepness.
Right.
They need the pressure. They need a whole bunch of stuff because they're in a space that is a space that we are not in. That's important to maintain this awareness that that of unawareness. You see what I mean? Somebody else's unawareness is what I'm trying to say. Right? To understand unawareness is one of the chief challenges of awareness.
Mhm.
Yeah, we forget, we're just aware. It's obvious to me. I need to maintain an awareness of unawareness. Otherwise, I lose contact and disconnect with others.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm unable to relate. Yeah, and you
Right.
can't assist them in dealing with it from inside. Yeah,
Mhm.
doesn't help to come from outside. They're not aware of outside. They need to get from inside. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So is
Now
it
we're on
time?
module 5.
No. Oh, we just zooming along today.
Yeah, yeah. How many modules? There's 7 or 5? 7. I forget.
I don't. Where are we now? FFA 7. 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're
Module
on.
5, owning our understandings and replacements. Slide 2 was just what's in the contents. Slide 3, making it your own. As we learn and grow, we also shift and change. It's so important that we own our own way of being and our own new shifts, new understandings, and new behaviors. If we do not own them completely because you figured it all out, that they make sense to you, that new learning will never really stick because it belongs to others, not you.
Yes, that's a big point.
Yeah.
They've owned their anxiety and worry, but they don't necessarily own the replacements. When they do become aware of the replacements. So this point needs to be hammered.
Yeah.
That was hammered today with Robin, no?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
To
So my
own those shifts, those changes, the replacements, the new you, the moreness of you. Own it, own it, own it, own it. Yeah.
for
We
me,
see it, Dan sees it, but yeah.
you have to see it.
Yeah. She sees it, but she's not fully owning it yet.
Owning it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. It's a slight difference here.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
for some, they need to first see it. They need to see it as a possibility. Then they got to start doing it so that they got something to own, right? You got to do in order to own. Robin is doing, but she just needs to fully own it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
For me, the importance of truly making something your own by figuring it out, making sense of it, etc., is imperative if you want to own it and make it your own, so that all your new growth and learning will stay part of you.
Yeah. 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 Well, stick to you. Yes. Stay part of you. It's very important that it stays and sticks, because you can't have it stay and stick if you don't own it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's somewhat a big part of the worrying. As much as there's that self-importance is typically built on a hollow foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're looking to be self-important, because they're looking to compensate for what they perceive as hollowness. And sometimes it's quite legitimate, that hollowness. So fill it up with something real. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to be very sure that they actually make an effort to do something. If they don't, then forget it. That hollowness is going to remain, and it's going to be filled with anxiety and worry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah.
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 Very, very, very important. I've seen this, that kind of a laziness,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so overwhelming sometimes that they just, are too worried about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I saw on because I started to record on the computer and I wasn't looking at the phone. I was just listening to it. The meeting says, do you want to continue? So if you don't want to be recorded, you can opt out of the meeting right there and
Correct.
then.
Correct.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. It says then leave now or something like that.
Yeah. That's
You don't
cool.
want to be recorded?
It's
Out you go.
forcing people to accept responsibility. Yeah. I like that. It's very cool.
Quote on slide 4 is to really, really change. It's imperative. Our changes are our own. So for me, change is not worth anything if you have not made it your own.
Exactly. Exactly. And that was again the emphasis for Robin today, right?
Yep. You bet. Slide 5, self-proof profoundness. Once you acknowledge that you have thoroughly worked through new ideas, concepts, the more we shift into changes and understandings, we must apply them and then also remain receptive to the effectiveness of the changes. You must prove to yourself that you can apply, use the and use and implement new ways of being, new understandings, and new behaviors. Otherwise, with
Yeah.
otherwise the doubt will creep back in and make you believe that you can apply and use instead of knowing you can apply and use the new learning. So you, if it's just in your head and you're believing it,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
not as
yeah,
effective.
yeah, yeah. It's otherwise we always have that bit of doubt that
Yep.
we only believe we can apply and use rather
Right.
than know we can do so. So yeah, so we have to prove to ourselves that our belief that we can is a real belief. Yes?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So my takeaway is, for me, the work does not stop after you have made something your own and applied and used your new ideas, concepts, and understanding. You must then prove that you can apply
Exactly.
these new ways of being. Otherwise, doubt shows up and makes us believe we can change instead of knowing we can actually change.
Exactly. Exactly. And boy, is that a tricky freaking trap where you
Mhm.
believe you can. That was my sister's trap.
Yeah.
You know, she really believed she can. And that was enough for her. She never went that extra step to
Yeah.
demonstrating and proving it. And I've seen this in many good people. And it's a very vicious trap,
Hmm.
very vicious.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst traps, absolutely the worst.
That's what my one sister-in-law, Jody. Oh,
Yeah,
dear Lord.
yeah.
She knows, and she wants to know everything, but she don't want to do shit about it. So
Exactly.
I'm done. I really, I had to step away from
Yeah,
helping
yeah, yeah,
because I mean, didn't take, it wasn't rocket science for me, but it took me a little while to figure out, like, Sue,
yeah,
you can't do it for her.
yeah.
She has to take action.
Exactly. You were helping rather than assisting, in that.
Appropriately helping, inappropriately
And
helping.
that's the that living with the force. It really focuses in on that difference between helping and assisting.
Yeah.
It's just a cool little thing. It's attunement, but still, it emphasizes that. Very
Mhm.
interesting to hear Robbins doing it. It's going to be cool to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Slide 6, philosophy of replacement. If we only focus on fixing our problems, our rebels, our rebels become part of our world.
Problems.
Are our problems, Jesus Christ.
Well, for many, they see rebels as problems.
Yeah. Our problems become our world, and that can end up being extremely ineffective when it comes to dealing with them because we are fixated on finding new problems. Also, to remove negativity does not necessarily guarantee positivity will replace it. Let me take this.
That was my appropriate panic response.
Berta, how are you? Good, 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 good. What's going on?
Well, I think he's still muted. Yeah. Oh, he's still busy. Oh, no problem.
Okay, sorry. I had to
Oh,
take.
no problem. No problem at all. No, it's
Uh,
important. We deal with it. So
Let me see here. Hold
it's
on.
good stuff, I'm assuming.
Yeah. A friend was having trouble. The massage other massage therapists that I used to work with all the time, but we can't because of the nursing home being closed down. So you can do the 14th, 15th. Okay, hold on. Let me change this on the June
Oh,
15th, Tuesday at 5:30. Uh,
excellent stuff, Sue. Excellent.
6:15 at 5:30. Diane. Hold on, let me just. Take that out. 8, delete. Okay, perfect. All right. All right. So the next one is the philosophy of replacements. If we only focus on fixing our problems, they become our world, and that can end up being extremely ineffective when it comes to dealing with them because we're fixated on finding new problems. Also, I think we just did this.
Yeah,
Also,
that's what you said right there is the crime of sort of traditional therapy, psychotherapy.
please. Yeah.
It's terrible. It's just appalling to me.
Yeah. And also to remove negativity doesn't necessarily guarantee positivity. We'll replace it when you're doing Band-Aid fixes. Yeah, especially.
Exactly.
Removing anxiety and worry from your life does not guarantee peace and joy, fulfillment, contentment, awesomeness, bliss, fun, etc. that you can think of. So focus on a replacement, and this usually automatically resolves the problem, a much more effective way of changing things. So my takeaway is, for me, fixating on problems just brings a greater focus to the problem in general. So we never get away from problems because we keep finding more problems. To take away a problem does not guarantee a positive result. We must find a replacement to automatically resolve those problems. Yeah, traditional therapy, you just go in there and you talk about a problem, and you think it's getting fixed, and it just opens up another problem, but there's never really any what can you do about it? Nothing.
Exactly.
Brought
And
up.
the horror of it. So that whole slide there is premised on the root understanding, the core conception that makes that all makes it all make sense, is an understanding of emphasis. So when you really look at this, when you fixated on problem, and you fix that problem, but now you're immersed in a world of problem, the brain is trained to think of problem, and it is you facilitating and you encouraging the brain to focus on problem. Not only encouraging it, but you're making it more able to see and find problem. How in the hell is this therapeutic?
Yeah, how is that effective?
You're training somebody to be more focused on problems. Of course, this is good for your bank account, but man, and I don't think it was intentional originally. I mean, I think there are some that realized this probably and exploited it, but still, I think it was something that was just through ignorance. And to me, it's a little bit, come on, seriously, how good is your psychology if you don't understand this? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I always understood emphasis. I didn't know until much later that it actually literally physically changes the brain. I just thought it was a psychological pattern, but it physically changed it. That I thought was really wow. It was very cool confirmation of that for me. I just thought that was awesome. But this understanding of emphasis, it's incredible how much difference it makes, like in this slide. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Slide 7, replacement info will follow in the next module. First, we must know and be aware of what exactly we are doing and what to do so we can be appropriately motivated. Without that appropriate motivation, not much will happen. We first want for it to happen. This is precisely the problem with fixing only. Removing the negative only just leaves a void, and a void is difficult to embrace. So therefore, a replacement is crucial and critical, and it is what change is all about. There are many reasons for this, but for now, know that when we are working towards the acquisition of a positive, it is much easier to be motivated and do what needs to get done. Not to mention having a joyful process versus a not so fun process that deals with our problems. So for me, the takeaway is your attitude and desire to change and deal with a problem appropriately will be the biggest motivator. If you are just removing something, then there is a void, and a void is not usually goal worthy. So it is important to understand the process so it can be done appropriately and effectively and with joy and fun.
Exactly. And this point of the training, the emphasis that the more you worry, the more you train your brain to worry.
Worry. Right.
And that's something to worry about.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
When they realize, oh my God, I'm actually making my brain into a worry brain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm training my brain to be a better worrying brain. That's huge, no?
Mm-hmm. Huge. Yeah.
It starts to feed on itself.
Without information and understanding like this, what the hell do you know? You just follow the crowd. You follow the process. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is our service, making you aware of emphasis and how emphasis works. Just that alone is transformative.
Yeah. Yep.
That's it. Yep. It's an external understanding that's hard to come about on your own, right? Mm-hmm. So when we share how emphasis works and emphasize emphasis, transformative.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Very big deal.
Self-talk specifics, slide 8. Our self-talk can be self-fulfilling, like, I am such a worrywart. We make many statements like these about ourselves, never realizing how self-fulfilling and self-perpetuating they really are. Exactly. The main reason is because at the root, we are honest and we want to try to make sure our honesty is the truth, or we will think we are liars and phonies, and we can't do that. Understanding the impact of self-talk can make a huge difference when we learn more about replacements. We must start owning our own self-talk. Hold on, here's a spelling error. Owning our self-talk, we must take full responsibility of our power over ourselves so that we can understand how powerful self-talk is. So my takeaway is, for me, you must be completely aware of your self-talk and take responsibility for what you are really saying about yourself and owning it, because there's a massive power in our self-talk. So be careful on what you self-talk about yourself about.
Exactly. It's really critical. Now, the replacement, it's very important that you don't jump to the opposite the replacement. Oh, I'm such a worry pot. Oh, I'm not a worry pot. I don't worry at all. That's just false again too. So the change from the negative to the positive needs to be incremental, right? I'm less of a worry pot than I used to be. Is that true? Are you working on your worry and anxiety? Yes. Is it true? Yes. I'm less and less of a worry pot. After a while of saying this, you say, well, you know what? I really don't worry as much as I used to. Oh, yeah, that's true. Wow. Yeah. Okay. And then eventually you can say, hey, you know what? I don't actually worry anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I've shifted to being a positively minded person. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is very cool. And so this is important because sometimes people say that we've been preaching replacement, and tend to assume that, okay, now it's these positive affirmations. They don't work if they're false. You need to gradually get to be true, right? So incremental change, right? So the self-talk and the affirmations, they need to be incremental because they need to be true.
Mm-hmm.
So focus on the change. I am changing. I'm less of a worry pot than I used to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm worrying less. I'm worrying less and less. Those are all true statements. Why? Because you're actually doing something about it. And then they become self-fulfilling because they're true. But they first need to be true, right? So we have to find out how to latch onto something that is true. So the
Mm-hmm.
progression is the true part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Slide 9, quote is, good ideas are plenty. Making use of those which apply to us requires intentional self-leverage. So my takeaway is, for me, talking and coming up with ideas are cheap. Be sure that these ideas are good for you. There's just a lot of them out there. If we don't do something about them, they're cheap things that you just collect and you don't do anything about.
Exactly. Exactly. So learn discernment, in other words. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do this one slide and then I'm going to stop.
Okay, cool.
Jump in the shower.
Mm.
Slide 10.
Started early, so it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Appropriate fatalism. Usually anxiety and worry means we are fatalistic about the future. So we believe things will work out for the worst. Is this realistic? How often has the worst really happened? How often have your fears turned out positively?
Yeah.
Fatalistic does not have to be fatal. Shifting our fate to good and positive is possible. After all, we are here and good things have happened and will continue to happen.
Yeah.
So we have survived despite all the anxiety and worry. So why not be positively fatalistic? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Takeaway is, for me, how you really think about the statistics of how many bad things really happen from all the worry, I am sure it is quite minimal. So why live in such a negative fatalistic space?
Yeah.
Choose to be positively fatalistic instead, as we have survived much and are still here.
Exactly. Exactly. And to say if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. That's also appropriate fatalism, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what am I going to do? If a meteor is going to fall on my head, it's going to fall on my head.
Right.
And two, it's just being real and honest. I'm going to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the point of worrying about it? It's just an inevitability. It's like the sun is going to rise. What's the point of worrying about the sun rising? It's kind of idiotic, right?
Well,
Yeah, but the sun is positive. Well, says who? Death isn't positive.
right.
How do you know it's negative? There may be a fantastic transition into something magical. You have no clue. What the hell are you worrying about? You are insisting on a negative.
Yeah.
Smack yourself upside the head, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. How arrogant is that to insist on a negative,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Let me just mark my spot here. And then I'll put down on the bottom the time we spent, so we know, just so I know for Bernadette.
Right. I'm excited about you starting, by the way. Very excited.
Yeah, me too.
Didn't sound very positive and exciting.
Yeah, I am, but I want her to be on board. I'm just sick of wasting my time on people who.
Yeah. I was about to say, I appreciate the appropriate reservations involved.
Yeah.
If not Bernadette, somebody else will come along.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
And you may even find a client, and
somebody who's going to pay for it. Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, I don't want anybody. I don't want anybody who's not, willing to submerge
we want the Cheryls. We want the Cheryl.
Absolutely. Let's Cheryls of the world. Absolutely. So.
Exactly. And in that, it will be very exciting. And I feel now that this, anxiety is so common. You have a really potent tool that I feel that this is what you've sort of been wanting, a tool that you can really, really use. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Easily. Yeah. I mean, you have a high confidence in using this particular tool, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
what I'm feeling from you. Not that you've expressed it, but in the way you are dealing with it, because you understanding it without it being something particular to you. And
Yeah.
that's the key to any sort of facilitation, right?
hmm
So I'm
Yeah.
also looking forward to doing the transition
hmm
program.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because these two, the anxiety and worry and transition, these are
Mhm.
very easy to find. Much everybody has that as an issue
Mhm.
in some way.
Definitely.
The transition one, it may not necessarily be somebody who has dealing with somebody who's transitioned, dealing with loss, but the fear of death, anxiety and worry about death, right? Instead of dealing with anxiety and worry, you just go straight to the transition, because that, if, regardless of whether they've lost somebody or not, it will deal with fear of death. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
No, definitely.
And that's a big deal for some people. They get really obsessed with it, right?
hmm
Yeah, and they have no tools for how to deal with it. So, all right, very cool. Well, next time when we get there,
Okay. Perfect.
lovely, Sue,
All right.
lovely, lovely, very
All right.
nice. Yeah.
All right.
Soft power, soft power.
Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow with Cheryl. All right.
Yeah.
See ya.
Well, looking forward to that. Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh. If you are on a little later after the shower, uh, Kay is coming
Okay.
on, and she just did the living with the force. So if you have time to just listen in a little bit, she was very excited about doing it. It may just be interesting. I don't know, just for pure interest sake. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Is that like Star Wars Living with the Force?
Correct. The whole module that I added, I just used the Star Wars
Mm,
format, master and apprentice, to make a point, just for fun. But it was very powerful for her because of the content of it. So yeah,
mhm. Cool.
interesting. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. All
Brilliant.
right. Thanks.
Bye bye.
See
Bye
you.
bye. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.